Along the road to finishing your first draft, you'll hit a few speed bumps in the road. And whether you're a novice writer or you're a seasoned published author with many books under your belt, everybody is united by this one issue. Hi, my name is Kathleen Lyons. I'm here at the Magic Library, and today we're going to be talking about writer's block and how to conquer it.
They whisper secrets in the quiet night.
Alright, so before I get started and everything, I have to do the plugs. Seraphim Requiem is now out. You can buy it on Amazon or you can buy it from my shop, all of which can be found in the description below. I also have merch on sale through Printify, and you can also find that link down in the description, and I'll get actually more into that later. But since we're talking about my books and everything, I actually had a lot of trouble with writing some of my stories. For the entirety of the Seraphim trilogy, I actually had a lot of issues with what scenes I wanted, how intense I wanted them to be, and sort of how off the rails unhinged it can get in terms of psychological itch. Needless to say, there are trigger warnings in some of these books. I will just go ahead and warn you now. Like I said before, writer's block is an issue that connects every writer, whether you're just getting into the field or whether you've been in it for many years. No one is immune from writer's block. But writer's block is not permanent. I have had a few things that have helped me, and I'm going to share them with you guys. Keep in mind, though, these are very, very sort of ADHD coded, so just keep that in mind. Tip number 1 for conquering writer's block is take a step back. When I say take a step back, I mean take a look at the bigger picture. If you're too focused on the details, you tend to lose the image that you have for your story. One example I have is in Seraphim Awakening. In Seraphim Awakening, in the prologue, I introduce Phoenix by having him stand at the gravestone of someone who was very dear to him, a friend. She wasn't an Anime Nexum partner, but she was still a partner that helped him take on the mantle of Alpha that first time around. It wasn't necessarily something like a placeholder, it was just that she was someone that he trusted very, very much. And she dies before the story even starts. When I was reading through the second and third drafts of the book and everything, I found out that I had only mentioned her that one time in the prologue, and I hadn't mentioned her anywhere else in the story, and I was like, I really need to change this. So what did I do? I took a step back. And I looked at all 3 of the manuscripts as a whole, because at that time I was actually writing all 3 of the books at the exact same time in one cohesive storyline. To me, it just made sense to do that. I'll just go ahead and say that right now. When I took that step back and looked at everything as a whole, I realized that I could use that as some motivation or even as a trigger in some other aspects, and even give people who were responsible for that outcome. And by doing so, I made some characters a whole lot more devious than they actually seemed, and that deviousness in the first book actually translates really well into book 2. For those of you who have read Seraphim Awakening, Seraphim Bloodlines, you know exactly what character I'm talking about. I faced this similar issue when it came to Luca's death as well. I originally had Luca. The official cause of death was that he was a victim of police violence, but later on you learned that it was part of a larger scheme, basically to trigger Xyla. And I will not go into other details besides that. If you're interested, you can read all 3 of the books and have a fun time with that. It's a very interesting story. It was my first multi-POV story, and I actually sort of like how it turned out. But taking a step back helped me immensely with how that story turned out, and I'm very proud of that. Tip number 2 that has helped me is talking to a friend, a family member, or even an object. We'll talk about talking with friends and family members first before we start talking about the talking to an object thing, just because it seems like that will be like tremendously ADHD. I found that talking about your story with a friend or even with a family member who's interested actually helps to make connections in parts of the story that you might not have realized yourself. Even post publication, I actually have come up with little details that have been connections throughout all three of the Seraphim trilogy, and I look back on it and it's like, yeah, that does make a lot of sense now that I think about it. Hearing yourself talk about the issues that you're having actually helps out a whole lot. And sometimes it also helps to get some feedback from someone who is interested in it, in the topic as well, and also can give you some pointers. But that is primarily the talking to a friend or family member side of the conversation. Let's talk about the talking with the inanimate object. If you are a fan of the BBC Sherlock Holmes series, let's just say that they sort of hint at it early on in the first episode, A Study in Pink. When Watson is first introduced to the apartment along with Sherlock, he finds that there is a skull on the mantle, and that skull is basically who Sherlock Holmes talks to. I think this sort of speaks to the creative mind of everyone, whether you have ADHD or not, in that you need to have your thoughts just spoken every once in a while, and sometimes speaking into the ether or to an inanimate object actually helps out a great deal. I've actually met a few writer friends who actually do this, except they do it with a little character or plushie that they carry around with them, like a little fidget toy, and it sort of helps to get anxiety out and everything, like squeezing them or fiddling or fidgeting with them. And they also have and they also name theirs. And I've discovered that apparently Steve or Steven is a very popular name for little trinkets. I don't know why. But anyway, talking to a friend, a family member, or even an inanimate object, as long as you get those thoughts out there and you hear yourself talking about them, you sort of work your brain into getting those wheels turning and to getting to think about those issues from another perspective. Plus, your friends and family might be able to give you some pointers that you didn't even think about. So just keep that in mind. This next point also goes into a little bit of the ADHD coded habits and everything. It's act out your scene. A little bit of lore about me. When I was a kid, I actually used to talk to myself a lot and do different characters, or even just pretend that the characters were talking back to me. That is one sign that I definitely have ADHD. I'm not crazy, I swear. But I'm also not alone in this. Other authors tend to do this as well, usually when they're in their office or they're working through their manuscripts. Either way, it's like you put yourself into basically that rhythm and letting the wheels turn, and your brain typically takes full front of that, and you sort of are talking to your own brain in a way. It's actually helped out a lot, and I, oddly enough, recommend it. Talk to yourself every once in a while. Act out a scene or two. A little bit of humanism here. Make sure that you sort of are doing it either like whispering or just like whispering to yourself, or you're doing it at least in private. You can do it out in public, just be prepared for a lot of weird looks. And if you are an author who does do this, I want to know your weirdest experience down in the comments. I'd like to read those. This next one is very ADHD coded. Number 4 is work with your hands. Brandon Sanderson, in his first introduction lecture for his series on creative writing and science fiction and fantasy, is that menial labor and everything, working with your hands, like doing bricklaying or anything that requires some routine, it gives you the opportunity to just let your brain go on autopilot and work through your storyline on by itself, and you'll retain those ideas. And also, there's a lot of muscle memory involved. I found that doodling while thinking about a story or an issue that I'm having tends to really help. I'll sometimes sketch out what the scene looks like or how the characters are talking to each other or facing one another. And once I get to dialogue and everything, I can picture their faces and how their faces look. And sometimes that helps out a great deal in figuring out what goes on from there, because it's more situation based. But working with your hands while thinking about your story, or even just putting it on the back burner and just focusing on the task at hand, you'll be able to come up with so much more details. A perfect example, when I was still writing Arboreal Lux, I was actually working at a plastic extrusion plant where I was putting filament on spools. And it was very, very straightforward. I put a spool on, I'd connect the filament, and I would let the spooler do its work while I did some other work, to make sure that all the specs were right, and stuff like that. I will not name the company just because I do not want to get sued. But doing that sort of routine work gave me a lot of time to think about what I could do with the story, and I actually came up with a whole lot of other story ideas that I still have in my notebook. And when I was on my lunch break, I was able to actually go through and write through about some of those ideas. It was very, very, very interesting. So I definitely recommend working with your hands in some way whenever you have issues. Whether it be drawing or like fiddling around with modeling clay, it works a treat. The next one may be a little bit more coded to me, but because this is just like how I think and how my brain works. But number 5 is randomize your playlist. If you are an ADHD chaos writer like moi, you probably have a playlist or 7 that are specifically dedicated to writing scenes or just get your brain in the mood for writing. In my case, I have playlists for almost every single project that I have that I'm working on right now. And these songs are usually stuff to like that describe characters' mindsets, that describe scenes or the vibes of the story, stuff like that. Randomizing that playlist and everything may help you get out of sort of the funk that you're working with. Because if your playlist is in routine, you may end up going through the story and just feeling a little blasé about it. Randomizing the events and thinking about the story in terms of segments that you can switch around like puzzle pieces or a frame or everything, it tends to work out really, really well, and it's actually helped me in many circumstances. Going back to Seraphim Awakening again, I actually had a lot of trouble figuring out that first chapter when Phoenix and Zyla first met. I've described it to many of people that I've been pitching my books to in order to get them to sell, is that these two characters may be a item later on in the series, but at the beginning they are most definitely not. They don't meet in a meet cute sort of way. They meet in the middle of a police car chase. He is chasing her. And when I was having difficulties trying to figure out the rhythm of the story and everything in that specific scene, I was listening to one song in particular. And that song was Gorilla by ATEEZ. I am a big K-pop fan. The beat and rhythm of the song is exactly how I wanted this high-speed chase to go and everything. It's fast-paced. It has like a lot of background, and it has a lot of background music and sounds that just goes like dong dong dong. It goes, here we go, and I can't really say anything without just like playing it on the background, but I can't do that because it'll the video will get flagged for copyright. But just look up Gorilla by ATEEZ. I'll leave it right here, how you spell it and everything. It's a really good song, and I highly recommend it. I have many other examples of this, but if I do that, this video will end up being like an hour and 30 minutes long, so I'll cut that off right here. I'm just wanting to say that randomizing your playlist helps out a great deal. And the sixth and final one actually sort of stems to the first one that I had of taking a step back. In this case, it's take a break and come back to it later. Sometimes you're stuck on that one point, but you know where the rest of the story is going to go. In terms like that, it's best to go around the leaf and basically go on with the rest of the story and then come back to it later, just like have a little placeholder. By putting a placeholder there and basically saying that you'll come back to it later and letting you work out on the story as well, you're putting that essentially in the back of your mind. And putting it in the back of your mind and everything will actually help for it to stew and to let it cook and basically try to look for scenarios and connections that you didn't think about before. In my second video, I said that storytelling isn't linear, and this is one of those examples. If you're having trouble on one particular scene, but you have ideas for another scene, go and write out that scene and even stuff surrounding that scene, and you'll be able to connect it to the scene that you're having trouble with later on. It helps a great deal, and it also lets you know that this is most definitely a first draft and you will be coming back to work on it later. But during those second, third, fourth, or even all the way up to 10th or 12th or 20th drafts, you're always adding details to the story. You're always making changes. Writer's block is not necessarily an epidemic, but it is trouble that a lot of writers and authors deal with. And everybody has their own methods for getting through it and everything. So always ask around to other authors. Do not take my word as gospel. If you have other author friends, bring up the topic with them. Brainstorm ideas that could help you in your way and to help out with the story problems that you have if none of these ideas work. Community and communication are key when it comes to writing, and especially in writing groups, I highly recommend definitely asking around for extra tips. But I think that is it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching and making it to the end. I actually didn't know how long this video was going to be. I had 6 points on here, and I thought I was going to talk more on each point, but it's like the more I talk about it, the more I felt myself just rambling, so I decided to condense it all. What tips and tricks have helped out with you in the past, whether you're a novice writer or you're a published one that sometimes still has issues? Let me know down in the comments what you guys have been doing to help out with your own writing. And also, shameless plug incoming, you know that I am a published author, and I have written Arborealux and the Seraphim trilogy. All 4 books are available on Amazon. The links are down in the description below, and you can also buy them on my online shop at kathleenilines.my.canva.site. That link is down in the description below. Just go up to the shop tab. Buying it directly from my store means that you'll also get some extra goodies to go along with it. I have a merch box set up for Arborealux that comes with 5 prints, 2 bookmarks, and a sticker pack. And as soon as I get the prints all ready for the Seraphim trilogy as well, I'll also be doing a Seraphim trilogy merch box set as well. And some very important announcements. I am officially going to be selling at Foothills Festival here in Jasper, Alabama, September 12th and 13th. I'm very, very excited. I will be selling all 4 of my books, my prints, and also my sticker packs and just some stickers. I will also be selling the merch box sets, and I hope that everybody enjoys these because I did a lot of work with the art that went into the prints, and also the bookmarks, and also the stickers, and I hope everybody enjoys that. And of course, you guys already know I'm also going to be selling at Foothills Book Fest October the 11th. It's going to be held at Jasper Civic Center in downtown Jasper, and I will be selling with a fellow author friend of mine, H.M. Johnson. My fellow author has sort of issued the challenge to see who can sell more books and merch and everything. So if you guys are in Alabama at any time, especially during October the 11th or even September 12th through 13th, definitely come and buy some books from me. Pretty please. And of course, if you want to support the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. Ring that bell for notifications, and also put down in the comments some other video ideas that you want. I am going to be getting back into doing art videos again. I actually have a new art project series that I'm going to be doing, and I'll get onto that in a later video. And of course, follow me on all my socials down on my link tree in the description. This is Kathleen Lyons here at the Magic Library, and thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!
Every glance is a journey to the